In this video, I'll be showing you how I created these two animations in Blender and how you can do the same easily and fast. Without talking further, let's get started. So I'm gonna be starting off with the first scene. How did I create this? Well, it's pretty simple. So let's first break it down to the product animation and then the camera animation. So the product animation is, I've added this empty to the objects here. And what I've done is on frame 0, I've put them into position like this. And then I went to frame 90. And what I did is I moved them up and rotated them. So I'm gonna first save this. So I'm gonna delete, for example, frame 90, just so I could apply this guy with you guys. And let's just delete them all. So you see, so what I wanna do is at frame 90, I'm gonna start off with this object. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it up like this, and let's go to the camera view, rotate it on the X like this, and then rotate it on the Y slightly and move it like this. Then insert keyframes. Now I'm gonna do the same thing for this product, frame 90, and I'm gonna move it. Then I'm gonna rotate it on the X slightly, rotate it on the Y, then rotate it on the Z, and rotate it a bit like this. Insert keyframes, gonna do the same thing here. Move it up, rotate it on the X-axis, rotate it on the Y-axis, and then rotate it on the Z by double pressing Z. So we could have two different angles. Then insert the keyframes. You see, this is how it looks, but we got a problem with this one. So let's quickly assess that. That's because we rotated it a lot on the Z-axis. So let's try this. And you see, this looks perfect already. So let's talk about the camera animation. How did I do this? If I select the camera, you realize that there is no keyframes added. So the way I was able to make the camera lock is by adding an empty. So I'm gonna delete this empty. What I want you to do is I want you to put your cursor here in the middle, Shift A, empty, then arrows, for example. Then I want you to select this by pressing Shift and then Control P, object. So the empty moves with the model. Then I want you to select the camera, go here to constraints, add an object constraint, track 2, and the target is gonna be this empty, just like that. And then you could fuck around with the angles like this, so you can see which angle you wanna get. Besides this, it looks perfect. So for the render settings, its noise threshold is 0.1, max sample is 250 on GPU compute. And if you're wondering about the scene, what I've done is I've added a cube like this and a plain background. And for the color and the material, just white. And we have this plain setup, which is causing the lighting. So the base color, here are the settings that you need to worry about. You can just copy paste these. And that's it. So let's break down how the second scene was made. So the second scene is pretty much the same. What I've done is I have made the object, like this object, to be stable so it doesn't move. And what I've done is I have hid the other two objects, the other two models. Now let's actually break down the camera movement and how you could do the same thing. So I'm gonna go here to frame 90. I'm gonna delete all of the keyframes for the camera, and for the empty, I'm gonna do the same thing. So first thing I wanna do is I'm gonna use the same principle, which is I'm gonna add an empty here to the cap, and I'm gonna have the camera tracking it. So for the camera, we need to insert the keyframes, so you see it's already inserted. I wanna do is I wanna play the animation, so let's play it to 140. And I'm just gonna lock the camera and move it like this. Just like that. Right click, insert keyframes. You see, that's the first scene done. Now, how do you transition to the second scene? As you see, if I try to pan it down, it doesn't move. That's by keyframing the empty itself. So on frame 140, the empty is gonna be keyframed here. On 141, what I wanna do is I wanna move it down and move it here so it's on the label. Somewhere like this, insert keyframes. So you see the animation plays normally between 190 and then it transitions here. So on frame 141, we're gonna select the camera, lock it, and see we've zoomed out somewhat. Insert keyframes, play it until 180, and just move it like this. Insert keyframes. This is too fast, so we could move it to 220. By the way, make all of this interpolation to be linear. Then for frame, this is not on 220. So on frame 221, it's just gonna be a very simple moving up and moving down animation. So we're just gonna insert keyframes like this. Then on 280, we're just gonna press G and Z and just move like this, insert keyframes. So all you need to do now is again, same render settings, press render and render animation. Now, if you are unable to set up the same lighting and everything, I have left you a Gumroad link or a Patreon link, which you could just immediately download the scene, see how the camera and the animations were made, and copy and paste it exactly like this. I'll provide you with the Blender files link in the description. Besides this, see you in the next video.